20 years of teaching, and just came to Somatic through Feldenkrais and then through Yasmin. And once I'd found this in my body, I just couldn't go back. So at this moment in time specifically, it is really, it's saving me, because naturally you get very tense, very neurotic, and just the way of being able to calm my body in every moment of the day is just so useful to me. So that's really helping me, and it's the soft body practice in SomaSensing that's really working for me right now. So it's just a matter of tuning in and noticing when you're holding tension in your body, and then coming to softness and just finding that sense of ease. And in so many moments, I find myself pausing and doing this, and it's becoming, actually, in a way, been practicing more now than ever before. And it's really is saving me now. I stay in the moment, I'm enjoying my life, I'm present, I'm joyful. Even though there is all this stuff happening and I'm aware of it, and I notice where I am, what state I'm in. And when I met Yasmin, I didn't realize it, but I was in dissociation, and it took a long time for me to realize that, for me to notice, and it is my go-to. It is where I go to. I shut down. I can't deal with too many people, can't do too many things, always trying to get away all the time. And I hadn't realized how much I was doing with my family, with everything. So now that I notice it, I notice when I'm going there, I know how to take care of myself in those moments. And this has really helped me, and the movements really help. Different movements on different days, different movements depending on what state my nervous system is in. Yeah, so it's been, I think it's actually made me understand it even better, this time, and having to use it, or using it more because of the necessity. So yeah, I think it's really brought me to my practice even more than I was before. Yeah, that's me for now.
Thanks, Antoinette. And yeah, so I'm going to share with you what it is about this practice that is so profound. And for that, I'm going to dive into a bit of a presentation. So I'm going to share my screen with you in a moment, like that. And it's going to come to seeing if I can go to the slideshow. Okay, so it's just a few slides here. There's nothing, I'm not going to go over the top with presentations, but I'm going to leave this at the bottom here. So at the heart of the practice, at the heart of SomaSensing, lies the practice of interoception. So first of all, let me just guide you to what SomaSensing is. It is a somatic practice. And when I started to explore what somatic means, it began for me in 2004. So before then, I was teaching Pilates and fitness, and I was body aware, but not aware of my inner body sensation. Practices like Feldenkrais, Traeger, the Franklin method was my journey inward. And if I'm really honest about that awareness of inner sensation, it happened in one particular aha moment. And the great thing that I learned with Pilates was this inner anatomy of the body with the diaphragm. Some of you here are therapists, so there's the diaphragm, the breathing, I'll call it the breathing diaphragm. And in Pilates, we were interested in how to release the diaphragm, because often people who would come to us for help with back pain would have this restriction in breathing and this diaphragm that was literally stuck. So we would find different ways, releasing methods, fascia releasing methods with the soft balls, breathing techniques. And the thing that really helped me was Tom Meyer's anatomy trains and Stephen Levin, who is an orthopedic surgeon who started to look at the anatomy of the body completely differently. And he coined this term biotensegrity. At that time, it was called tensegrity, that the body's not this column of the stacking structure, but it was a three-dimensional structure. So making it really simple, just simplifying it, that we have, the body's a container. There's an inner volume of the body. And I remember the one time just tuning in, taking in Tom Meyer's anatomy trains and the area of the bra line, so I'll call it the bra line, an area where we hold tension in the body and we don't realize it, and allowing that to soften. And there was a spontaneous breath. It was like a sigh. This incredible release happened within my body. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And in that aha moment, I had an insight, what I call a moment of quantum learning, where everything that you can read in perhaps one textbook just happened in that one moment, in that felt sense. And that's the power of somatic learning, that sensory experience. So your felt sense can give you far more information about the state of your inner body, or your wholeness, the state of your body as a whole, than anything that you can read separately. So for me, that experience of recognizing the body as a whole, or coming to wholeness, because we cannot sense wholeness when we are in a particular nervous system state. So wholeness emerges when your body is at rest, when you are in a homeostatic state. You will experience that sense of wholeness. And I'm hoping that that can happen today. I'll give you a practice today. So that practice of tuning in and listening to the inner state of your body is called interoception. Interoception refers to listening to the signals within. Oops, I'm just wondering if I can move this. It's not moving. My slides are not moving. Hang on a second. Whoops. Okay. Oh, I'm going to see if I can stop sharing, because this slide's not moving. I'm going to bring it up again just so that I will try and leave it in this mode. Just go back to the beginning, just so that you have a little bit of information. So we were here. I'm going to go to interoception here. Just move this down there. So interoception, you'll know it because it's that butterflies in your tummy sensation when you are either in love or you are anxious. So you'll either get a sensation of distress or you will have a sensation of well-being. And when there is a sensation of distress, we call that distressed interoception. So the reason that interoceptive signals are so useful is that it provides clues of the internal state of our well-being. And interoception works quietly in the background. It's part of your autonomic nervous system. We don't even realize that there are subtle sensations that emerge from within the body. And a real obvious one are the physiological sensations of thirst or hunger, or that urge to pee, tells you that the body sends you a signal to say, okay, now you need to, drink water or eat. But it can also give you false signals, for example, when you're craving a particular food. So interoceptive signals are not always guiding you to what's good for you. So you have to learn how to listen to those signals, but they're there all the time. And we can take that information and learn how to manage the state of our well-being. So those signals that emerge from within, we can tell where the body is in homeostasis. So you can now begin to check in with, you know, do I want that piece of chocolate cake because, you know, I'm craving, or because I'm hungry, for example? I'm just giving you a really simple example. And it's listening to those cravings from a place of compassion and non-judgment. And that's what we learn in our courses, is how do you learn to befriend your state? And one way you can listen to the state of your nervous system is through interoception. And what happens if you are in overwhelm? How do you calm signals of distress? And that's what we'll be looking at today. Now, why is this so important? Well, it's because interoceptive signals are everywhere in your body. And before we had an understanding of fascia, some of you will be familiar with fascia, we only ever thought of interoceptive signals like heart palpitations, or, you know, thirst or hunger, an itch, for example, butterflies in your tummy, as coming from your viscera, from within. And then there have been a couple of studies done on interoceptive signals that respond to light touch. So a light stroke or a sensual touch. And interoceptors are nerve fibers that are slow in sending information. And I won't go into the biology of the nervous system, but your interoceptors are part of your nervous system. So where exteroception is information that's coming in from the outside world through your five senses, interoceptors are the signals that tell you whether your body is in balance or not. I like to use the word homeostasis because it's never completely in balance. It's always fluctuating, right? So I want to talk a little bit about these C fibers. And this is where it gets really interesting, because these C fibers that respond to gentle touch or nurturing touch are not only on your skin, they are in your connective tissue, your fascia. So Robert Schleip is a fascia researcher based in Germany, and he's one of my mentors. They have been researching what they call mechanoreceptors. These mechanoreceptors respond to sensation that changes the quality of the fascial tissue. So mechano meaning mechanical. And these interoceptors are abundantly everywhere within your body. The interesting science or neuroscience behind interoception is that these signals go to a part of your brain called the insular cortex. And the insular cortex is insular, meaning it's hidden deep within the midbrain. And these signals that go between the insula and the body send information to other parts of the brain. But what's important to highlight here is that these sensory signals in your skin and in your fascia, when you move, don't only go to the part of your brain involved with movement, but they go to the part of your brain that's involved in calming you down, in helping you with empathy, with consciousness, with making decisions, and with embodiment as well. So that's been the research that everyone in the neuroscience world is really interested in. One of the neuroscientists working with this is a neuroanatomist by the name of Bud Craig, Dr. Bud Craig. He has a book called How Do You Feel? And if you are interested in interoception, I would urge you to get his book, especially if you're interested in the neuroscience of interoception. The other part of this puzzle is that is linked to pain, and that if you can calm your nervous system, you will calm the interoceptor that is responsible for pain signals. And that's really where I love to work, is looking at, is pain a result of a physical degeneration, especially chronic pain, or is pain in the nervous system or in your brain, as some people refer to pain, to chronic pain as being in the brain. And I have had incredible outcomes with gentle movement to ease chronic pain. So healing through the nervous system is one way of helping our well-being. And interoception lies at the heart of it in SomaSensing. It's linked to vagal regulation, your vagus nerve. And the thing that really fascinated me was how these nerve fibers go to a different part of the brain than we thought in movement. And somatic people, or somatic movement therapists, have always talked about proprioception, which is another part of your nervous system involved in body position, balance, the weight of your body, sensing the weight of your body, and how your body can tell where it is in space. And that part of your nervous system is involved in your motor skills. So, your coordination, for example. And in fascial tissue, we have less of those proprioceptors than we have interoceptors. Your interoceptors are abundant. They're everywhere, even in between your muscle fibers. Lots in the viscera of your body, so in this inner body, and pretty much everywhere. So fascia, just diving into a very quick overview of fascia, is tissue that is everywhere. So what is it? If you can imagine that from the time you were developing as an embryo, mesenchyme is the environment or the gel that every living cell begins its journey. So mesenchyme is the stuff that becomes fascia. And within this mesenchyme, you have your nerve cells, your epithelial cells, everything that you need to become an embryo or an organism or a human being. So in the past, fascia was just thought to be this connective tissue that was part of your musculoskeletal system, but it's a lot more. We thought it's a packing, shaping material, but we now know that it's intimately connected with your immune system, with your lymphatic system, with pretty much every living cell within your body, and it's intimately connected with your nervous system. So these mechanoreceptors that Robert Schleip has been looking at are more sensitive than your eyeball. So we always thought of the nervous system as being information that we receive from our senses, from what we see, what we taste, what we touch. And touch is different to sensing, right? From what we touch, what we hear. These five senses are how we take in information from the outside world. But then we have the sixth sense, we have fascia. And within fascia, we have these interoceptors. And in the past, what would happen is that trying to calm heart palpitations, which is then distressed interoception, can be overwhelming. But now that we know that fascia contains these interoceptors, we can befriend the body by tuning in to the quality of your fascial tissue. So simply noticing whether you are stiff or tense in parts of your body, and how you can soften that stiffness. And that's how we start to explore interoceptive awareness within the body without having to go to the emotional state. So even though interoceptors are linked to emotion, and we talked about how you can experience butterflies in your tummy, if you are in overwhelm, a really simple way of cultivating interoceptive awareness and fascial hydration, or the health of your fascial tissue, is by listening to the quality of the tissue. So that's one of the things we're going to explore. The other thing we're going to explore today, it's all connected and it'll make sense once you find it. And when you are under any kind of emotional stress, your fascia stiffens. So in the fascial community, people often talk about if you're not moving, if you're sitting at your desk for long periods of time, or if you are, you're sedentary, you lead a sedentary lifestyle. Yes, that does make a difference, but they're linked, right? So if you are someone who sits at your desk for a long period of time, or you're unaware of your body when it is under any kind of duress, it's still linked to the nervous system. And in fact, it's not just linked to the nervous system, it's linked to your frequency, your electromagnetic system, the biophotons, sound, fascia response to sound. But I'm going to stick with the nervous system because that's what we are concerned with when it comes to our mental state, right? Our mental health, our emotional state, and why we feel anxious. What is it that makes us anxious, and how can we shift from anxiety to a calmer state through the body? And through the body, because it's really difficult to try and change your mind, right? To have positive thoughts. And on our course, which Antoinette and I are going to start the next course, we talk to you about why it's so difficult to change your mind, to think positively. Because in the polyvagal theory that Stephen Porges is the neuroanatomist or neuroscientist who talks about the polyvagal theory and neuroception and why it's so hard to change your mind just by thinking positively. So somatic practices have come to the fore, and you can shift your state through the body. And this is what we're going to do today. So if you have any stiffness or discomfort or pain in your body, you can change that just by shifting your body into a softer state. So Antoinette mentioned softness. We are so obsessed with strengthening the body, or strengthening your spine if you have back pain, or exercising to become stronger. And that's not how the body functions. We need to look at the whole and involve the nervous system and the amount of strain that the body is taking emotionally too. And if we start to look at this new approach to anatomy of the body, soft can be strong. So I've had a session last week with another of my mentors, John Sharkey, who's a clinical anatomist. And we had a wonderful conversation about exercise and how it's based on an old paradigm of the body, and that we don't need to strengthen the body. We have an incredibly efficient movement patterns in the body that are effortless. And finding those patterns is the way that SomaSensing works. So in SomaSensing, we practice intuitive movements, and intuitive movements are always there, but we can't find them because we are in a habitual pattern, or we have distressed interoception, or we have something called somatic amnesia, or it results in somatic amnesia, which means that our patterned cells cannot access those intuitive movements that have always been there. So that's another of the practices that we go through, is helping people to overcome somatic amnesia, find these intuitive patterns, which are self-soothing, They nurture your nervous system. They revitalize your fascial tissue. And the intuitive part of it includes coaxing, pulsing, rocking motions, pandiculation, that urge to stretch and yawn. So it involves those movements, and they began to emerge from within my body when I was tuning in with interoception. So that's what I want to share with you today. I'm just going to stop sharing this screen so I can come back to you. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to guide you through an interoceptive practice. And maybe then you can share with me what that felt like for you. Okay, I'm going to share with you two things today. First is to learn how to tune into your body. And we're going to do this practice in sitting, and we're going to do this practice in standing. So just as you are, wherever you are, can you take a moment and tune into your body as it is? And what you're looking out for is whether you feel comfortable in a sitting position. That's all, nothing more than that. And can you adjust if you're not feeling comfortable, and really listen to, oh, does my body feel comfortable here? If it doesn't, how can you change the way that you're sitting so you can find the most comfortable way for you? So I'm going to leave you for a moment to tune in and self-adjust. So just noticing that, finding that self-adjustment. And exploring, where do I feel comfortable? Do I lean back into my chair? You know, are there any stiff areas in the body? How can I self-adjust to soften those areas? So that's a really simple practice. And what you are listening to is the quality of your tissue. Your fascial tissue will tell you immediately whether your body feels comfortable. It's a sensory organ, right? It will tell you whether it's feeling strained somewhere, or you might have had a tough day and you have a little bit of discomfort in your neck and shoulders or lower back. You have the ability to sense. And the first simple practice is just to tune in, and how can you find what feels comfortable? And you're using your sensory awareness to do that. And it's that simple. Okay, so that's the practice. Now, if you can come to standing and find the same position of rest and ease in standing. So if you can come up into standing. Just gonna see if you don't have to have your video on, by the way. You can have your video off if you want to. So coming up into standing, and really it only takes a moment. It's taking a moment to check in. Where do I feel stiffness? How comfortable do I feel in standing? And this has nothing to do with posture. It has nothing to do with where you should be. It has everything to do with listening to the state of your nervous system. So if there's any tension in your fascial tissue, it means that your nervous system has been in dysregulation, and you can begin to adjust the way that you're standing. You might change the position of your feet. You might even find a few movements that, oh, I just need to move my body a little to find the most comfortable place for me to be in standing. Okay. And a guideline I can share with you is finding your place of rest. So if you're tuning into your body, or are you tuning into your body? How are you paying attention to your body in standing? If your body is a container, so I'm going to give you some guidelines. So can you imagine that your body is a container? It has an inner inner body. It has space within. I'm going to call it space, although there are no spaces in the body. It's almost kind of filled. The body has a filling within. And if you can imagine that your body is filled with a gel, and if you're tuning in to listen to the quality of that gel, how stiff is your gel within? And how can you soften the stiffness? You might find that your body starts to sway. If that happens, you can go there. But how can you soften the stiffness of that gel within your body? Just noticing that. And can you find your place of rest? Some of you may have noticed that you've had a spontaneous sigh emerge from within your body. Okay, just notice if that's happened. Okay. And then you may begin to rock gently from side to side. And if you find that you're rocking from side to side or swaying, where is your awareness? Could you stay tuned into this gel within your body? And to bring an awareness to how can you soften any areas of stiffness? So we're really just tuning in to soften any areas. You could even add a little bounce, what I call a soft body bounce. So if you're adding a soft body bounce, bouncing out any areas of stiffness, you can explore that. So it's all you're doing is imagining that your body is filled with the gel, and how soft is this gel? If there are any areas of stiffness, how do you adjust? And if you're bouncing, just notice any areas of stiffness. When do they emerge? You might find that you find those areas. Okay. And then to let that go and notice if there's any change that's happened just from that little practice, the practice of tuning in and self-adjusting to find what feels easier, or find what feels comfortable. Find your place of rest. Okay, and then if you can come back into sitting, so coming back to sitting, and as you arrive into sitting, where is your awareness of your body? What are you noticing now? And as you arrive in sitting, could you allow your body to come to rest? You can lean back in your chair. You can check in with any stiffness in your body, and to tune into your body's inner sensory wisdom. Your body has an inner wisdom that will tell you where those stiff areas are and how to bring them to rest. So this time in sitting, could you tune into your body as a container and really find a way of giving yourself more space within your body? So if you have any areas of restriction, how can you self-adjust to give yourself more space within? Not on the outside, but within, where the gel can just spread out within your body and fill out this container of your body with ease. It may be that you still feel a little uncomfortable if your chair's hard or you can't rest. So just noticing that. Okay. Then you can let go of that. That's great. And I'm going to come back to you to maybe have a little bit of interaction. But before I do, I wonder if you noticed at any time whether your body went into a spontaneous sigh, whether you experienced this as you settled into this place of rest. If you experienced a spontaneous sigh, a feeling of, what you did is you triggered what I call the calm response, a spontaneous release of the diaphragm, and you have stimulated your vagus nerve. So I call that the calm response. Some people call it the relaxation response. And the reason why I use the calm response is because relaxation can take you into shutdown. So we still want to be awake and aware of the body. And I'm going to guide you to why we use the body as a sensing, a mindfulness tool, because it brings you into the present moment. So we're going to go into that in a moment. So if you've experienced a spontaneous sigh, you've triggered your vagus nerve and you've just practiced the calm response. So I'm going to guide you through that calm response once more. And I want to talk to you about the power of the pause. Okay, so the power of the pause. And in a second, just want to go to that. So you notice that I took you through 3 steps. There was taking a moment to pause. So you took a moment to pause. That's step 1. There's a power in that pause. You can pause at any time in your day, just taking a moment to pause. And you're not pausing in your head, you're pausing in your body. So you're taking a moment to pause and come to your body. And notice when you pause, is your body on alert? Does your body go on alert? And how can you rest? So that's the power of the pause. That's the first step. And now that you've found this sense of taking a moment, you're tuning in and you're beginning to find your place of ease. So that's step 2, tuning in. Step 3 is self-adjusting and allowing yourself to rest. And if you feel a spontaneous sigh, you've triggered the calm response. And that's how you shift state in your body. So we've done a couple of things today. We did sitting, self-adjusting to find what feels comfortable. That's going to shift your state. You do the same in standing. Then there was the body bounce. Okay, so those are the few things that I wanted to share with you today. And I just want to know from you, and you can put it into the chat below. Let's do that. Or you can, let me just ask you to, you can either put it into the chat below. Is there anyone that wants to share with me? You can either, just unmute yourself and share how that felt for you. Rosie, you didn't sigh but yawned. That's great, Rosie McHugh. That's also the calm response. Yes, Anna, it's the same. Anna Larson, it's the same. The sigh and the yawn is the... So if you found that you did a yawn, or your body wanted to go into this pandiculation, it's the same. You are triggering your vagus nerve. Okay? Anne Moorhead, you experienced an urge to cry, tears? Yes, that can happen. That's an emotional trigger for your body. So it could be a release, Anna. A cry can be releasing, so that will shift your state too. You might have a releasing sensation. So you can see how quickly you're able to shift state through your body. Is there anyone else wanting to share? You can raise your hand if you're on video and just unmute yourself. Okay. We spoke about from Christine Roselle. Yes, you felt much comfortable than the first time. Great. But Christine, how quick was that, right? How quick was that? How quick did you find comfort? But real comfort from within. And it's not just feeling comfortable just by lying on the floor, but just tuning into your interoceptive awareness. So I want to emphasize that interoception. People would often say to me, but you can't go into interoception because people have panic attacks, and I'm saying not that type of interoception. It's linked to your fascia. And remember, you have an abundance of interoceptors within your fascial tissue that respond to light touch. So when these are nurturing movements, they're going to change your mood. They're nurturing, nourishing movements for your vagus nerve, for your whole fascial net. Your fascia is a sensory tissue. Not only is it responding to your nervous system, but to, like I said, other communication pathways. Biophotons is electromagnetic energy that's linked to light. Your fascia is like a musical instrument. The fibers are like strings. They respond to sound. So for example, if you are talking to yourself, not only are you going into a sympathetic nervous system state, but your resonance, your fascial resonance is changing. So even you in your self-talk, in the noise of your self-talk, will change the quality of your connective tissue. So in SomaSensing, we work with connective tissue based on nature's design, the way we're designed to move intuitively, because your body has the ability to take care of itself if we know how to tune into it. So we've just done a course. I see a couple of people here from the course that we just did. I've got Martin here, Bobby's here, Anna's here, Diane is here. Do any of you want to share what it was like for you to do the 4-week course? I didn't know you were going to be here, so it's great to see you here. And Antoinette and I are starting another course that's slightly different, but similar. So does anyone from that 4-week course want to share anything? You can unmute yourself and just dive in. Anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, Martin. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Jasmine. Hello. Yes. It was it's a lot actually, and I don't know what actually I want to share, but I think this insight of the body as a container of gel. What just struck me to really to my core was also that I have some experience in movement because I was trained as an actor, and so I know a bit about what it means to have a body, and body and language, body and speech is something I experienced. But when I took lessons in singing, I came to the conclusion that the best picture to sing is that I feel like a ball, like a sphere, and out of this sphere, like the picture of being a ball is the best picture to be within my body, to be connected with my body, with my inner. And now it's starting to get to make really sense. I'm investigating this, and it is really a piece of space, inner space, which opens and which makes a huge sense to me. So
Yeah.
for me, it's really a discovery. This
And
time
Martin,
where
this discovery, because you did the 4-week course.
yes.
Where were you when you started, and how is it this journey of how it feels for you now? And I just want to share with everyone, when Martin's talking about a ball, in our sessions, I was explaining that in anatomy, we're not a column, we're round, kind of round. When you can imagine yourself more round than linear. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, because I haven't spoken to you now for maybe a week or so. How has it been for you from the start? Because you've only just finished the course, and how is it for you now?
Well, you know, I'm really on a journey, as I mentioned before. I do movements, but I do them occasionally, just when I feel like doing it. When I really, but I observing myself, I recognize that when I'm doing a sigh, and this is that the sighing, the spontaneous sigh from within, is a relief, and to know now a little bit about where it comes from. It's such a it's a treasure. It's like I'm beginning to understand, and it's much more than just sighing. And it is really a wonderful journey, and it makes so much sense, because I feel like this picture of being a container, and to also the word that you take, for example, the words to be a spiral. It makes so much sense because you know, the first step in another practice, which is called the 5 rhythms dancing, there is connecting with the body in the first step, and this is why it is a spiral dance. It is a spiral, and for me, it's really I'm on this journey, and I get into more and more, and it's a soft and subtle relationship. It's not a hard one. It's not that stretching and much effort and wanting. It is really a sensing, a SomaSensing kind. And I think, for me, I'm curious what's coming next, and where's the journey going to.
I'm listening to your language, and you're describing it exactly as it's felt. So I've got Diane here. Diane says, I love the 4-week course and found the accessibility of the movement to really work. Yeah, it's really simple. And as Martin was saying, there's spiral motion in SomaSensing. Your body already knows how to move. I don't teach you how to move. I just guide you to what's already there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's also for me that it is. I have to also discover the movements. I think you give me clues how I could move, but you don't prescribe the movements. You just give some kind of clues, and that's very.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Martin. Yeah, I'm just going to put you on mute there again. We don't describe. So as Martin's saying, I'm not teaching you movements, but guiding you to movements that you were born with. And it's incredibly profound that they're movements that are healing. And I love talking to John Sharkey about this, because I was saying to him, you know, these in the world of fashion biointegrity, they talk about micro movements and omnidirectional. And in somatic language, the words, the language is different. I talk about coaxing and pulsing and so on. So, Anna, you wanted to say something.
Yes. Hello. I would like to share, this course was so good. I feel I'm more calm, and I feel more energy. I have been so tired in so many years because I have been through some accidents. And I have a lot of pain before in my body, and it's almost gone. This constantly pain every day. So I don't feel the pain so much. I just have my neck, but it's also better. And when I find this body as a whole, when you guide through this nature design movement, it's also better in my neck. So I think this was amazing course.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna. I'm glad to hear that you are in less pain. And yeah, so, you know, we did the 4-week course. We've got another one coming up. Also, there's a couple of things if you want to practice this. I do have a free mini SomaSensing guide on the Think of It course. So when I email all of you, I'll have all of your emails. I will email you the recording of this and also the free guide and the new course that's coming up. And I'm really excited about the new course because what we've done with the people on the previous course, it was spontaneous. I thought, oh, you know, everyone's in uncertainty. How can we just start this? And it was amazing. I had a lovely group of people. I had Diane on there on the first one with her sister, and we had Martin and Anna and Bobby on the second one. And from that, you know, it was helpful to see how we can add more value to this course in between. So Antoinette is going to be joining me this time. And what we felt is we needed to have more movement. So we're going to do movement on those days. We'd have conversation and movement, but we're going to do movement. And in between, you know, have kind of sessions that came up from the previous courses. So that's starting on the 8th of June. It's a 4-week course. And we're going to be working, Antoinette will be doing the morning sessions and I'll be doing the evening sessions. So I'll send information about that if any of you are interested. And for those of you who did my course before, I will be having we'll be starting movement sessions in June. I'll let you know about them, and there'll be regular movement sessions. I'm so glad to hear, Anna, that you're that you're working through and you're practicing, because at the heart of this, as Martin was saying, you don't need to do an hour. The great thing about this is you can do an hour if you want to, but you could just practice for 5-10 minutes a day, 15 minutes. You can do little short practices throughout the day, as I know, Anna, you've been doing. And for someone to go from having pain to not having pain in 4 weeks is pretty amazing. And I've been saying this for many years, but I haven't had the opportunity to share it. And I think in this time that we've been in, I've been forced to go online and find a way of sharing this simple practice. I just want to, yeah, Anna, you wanted to say something more?
I just need to share this because I can also feel that my energy is more pure. It's lighter and not so heavy. And usually I sleep sometimes during the day, but now I can be awake the whole day. And it's lovely. So
I just want to, I want to touch on that, Anna. That's really important that you talked about lighter energy. I know what you mean.
Okay.
In the course, we talk about faux tolerance. Mm-hmm. And faux tolerance is a state of the nervous system where you think you're okay, but you're in autopilot and you think you have energy, but you're kind of just keeping yourself busy. So this practice is really great at bringing you out of faux tolerance, especially. So just wanted to share that. Thank you, Anna. I'm just going to see, I've got someone up, Bud Craig. Thanks, Antoinette. Yeah, great. So I just want to check the time. Oh, we've got 5 minutes remaining. And if there's anyone else that has questions, I can take that. So if you can, in the meantime, what you can take away today, that you can start practicing straight away, is that first practice of the calm response. So remember, there's 3 steps. You take a moment to pause. And the moment that you pause, you're pausing in your body. And you really start to, because your body will be on alert, and you can pause at any time, anywhere. If you're sitting in your car, wherever you are, you can take a moment to pause and then tune in to adjust. and notice if there's a spontaneous sigh. And then I'm going to share with you part 2 of this calm response. Because when you come into that state of calm, you can be awake to your senses and begin to have an appreciation of what you see. You know, just notice something that you might smell, something that's pleasant or unpleasant, whatever that is, but to take a moment to pause and to have an appreciation of something, whether it's the sound of a bird, whether it's something that you see in nature, a plant, but to still be in your body, whether it's like I'm sitting in my, I had these beautiful flowers sent to me by my family, by my son, by my cousin, from my son's in-laws. I'm just sitting surrounded, I can smell the lilies, you know, so we don't even notice those things that the body is responding to. Taking a moment, and you might look at the colors, it just takes a moment. Tuning in, adjusting to find that place of inner ease is really important to calm your senses and bring them into a homeostasis, into a ventral vagal state. So ventral vagus nerve helps you to regulate your nervous system. You're not in shutdown, you're not on alert, but if you were to do something quick, you'd be able to do something quick. So, and in the course, we actually go through movements for your vagus nerve if you're in shutdown. So just wanted to share that as well. Okay, so I'm going to come to the end of this session, and just remember that pain, chronic pain, is about the quality of your connective tissue, the chemistry of the tissue changing. So it's your interoceptors saying you need to bring more hydration to the fascial tissue, or you need to bring the fascial tissue into resonance. And when you do that, I promise you, you will have no pain. So I want to thank you for joining me. Antoinette, is there anything else you want to add before we?
I just wanted to say there was someone that was asking for a little bit of more information about the vagus nerve, but I don't know if you want to approach that because there's so much, and there's...
Oh, the vagus nerve, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. There is information about the vagus nerve. You can look at, Deb Dana has a book, Deborah Dana, D-A-N-A, put that in the chat. You know, it was so amazing because Deborah Dana is someone I contacted in 2015, and I wasn't aware that she had been working with Stephen Porges, and I'd seen something of hers online, and I asked her if I could download and use her beginner's guide to the polyvagal theory, and I found it today and thought, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I had, you know, and Deb Dana's become someone who can explain the polyvagal theory very easily. So what you'll find is you're going to find lots of things on the vagus nerve, but you're not going to find enough information on how to regulate the vagus nerve. And this is one of the few ways that can help you. And the reason that this is different is because you're tuning into nature's way. So I've done breath work before, and breathing exercises separate it. Okay, separate you from wholeness. One thing I did want to ask you is I said that you might sense coming to wholeness. And if you did feel tearful, that's one way of recognizing that you've allowed yourself to be in your body and find this place of wholeness. So the calm response allows you to come to that feeling of wholeness. I just wanted to add that. But yeah, coming back to the vagus nerve, talking to my mentor, John Sharkey, we were saying that the closer you come to nature's design, the better. So you want to, we really need to look at the body as a whole and how the body has a sensory wisdom. It can take care of itself, but you have to know how to tune into that. And in SomaSensing, that's what's emerged for me. It's been over 25 years. And going from being someone who would exercise my body from a fitness perspective to Pilates and to yoga and to Tai Chi, not as much Tai Chi, but to other practices. And once I found this, I could not go back, because once you realize, you have that aha moment that, oh my gosh, we're not supposed to be moving in the way we've been moving. So I would call those movements faux movements, like faux tolerance. You want to come to nature's design because it's efficient, it's effortless. When you move in a spiral, you're moving the whole body, and your body's meant to move that way anyway. I mean, we still move in a spiral. If I were to raise my arm, it's still spiral in nature. But there are movements that just feel amazing. They nurturing. And by the way, we all have similar patterns because there's a design in the body. Some of us might come to those patterns in a different way, but we all have similar patterns, primal patterns in the body that emerge. So it's really incredible. And hearing people that are, where the energy feels different, where Anna was sharing about her energy, she's not feeling sleepy during the day. I mean, for me, that's what I want to hear. And it only comes with practice. So that's where we're going to end today. I have someone in the chat box just before I go. Maria, what do you mean breathing exercises separate? Thank you for that question. So if I'm doing breath techniques, like for example, breathing into the belly, or pranayama, any type of pranayama training, or cueing breathing. So for example, in yoga, you might hear someone take an in-breath and an out-breath. We don't do that in this practice. I might bring awareness to how the body takes in a spontaneous breath. So how it takes a spontaneous breath, and what happens when the body takes in a spontaneous breath. How does the quality of the tissue change? What does it feel like? Because the body, if you tune into the body's way, so for example, let's just all do this before you leave. So just imagine that you've been sitting for a while and you've just woken up, and you just need to wake up this body, like that early morning urge to stretch and yawn. So can you find that in your body? So finding this, I just need to find those areas of stiffness in your body and unwind them. Find and unwind. And then there's a spontaneous sigh, right? So that pattern is called pandiculation. It's nature's way of revitalizing your connective tissue. And there's 3 parts to it. There's the spontaneous urge. What happens in phase 2 is that the body takes a spontaneous in-breath. You don't have to think about whether the diaphragm is releasing or and that in-breath is quite long. It holds it, it suspends it, there's a pause, and you can find and unwind those areas of connective tissue. You might find that there's more of an expansion in the back of the body. So it's not like the whole body thing expands, but it feels like that. And then you suspend until your body has had enough, and it will sigh spontaneously. And the clever thing about that is it's working with, in the fascia world, we call it the auxetic nature of fascia. Unlike a stretch, when you stretch, you're pulling and lengthening. So if you had an elastic, I'm coming back, give me a moment. So if you can see my screen, this is a TheraBand. This is a stretch. It thins, right? It becomes thinner, longer and thinner. That's not what happens in a pandiculation. It becomes plumper, plumps up. And when this auxetic nature, when it plumps up, it becomes more efficient at storing elastic energy. So it happens in your ligaments, it happens in the whole body. And Stephen Levin talks about auxetic nature of fascia in the whole body. So this whole body, as it's taking the spontaneous movement, is working with the auxetic nature of fascia, which means that it's hydrating the tissue, it's plumps up or becomes thicker. And when auxetic materials become thicker, they become more efficient at storing energy, so that you become springier in your body. So you have this buoyancy and rebounding quality to your tissue that's efficient. So thank you, everyone. I needed to add that last bit there. So I will send you the links. I've got all your emails and all of that. And you can connect with me via my website, on the group. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was great having you here and contributing as well. So stay calm and don't forget to pause in your day. Take care, everybody. Antoinette, I don't know if you want to hang on to have a little chat. Great to see you, Anya. I think you must have gone by now, so let's see. Yeah, so if anyone wants to, Antoinette, if you want to hang on. Thanks, everybody.
For those that are still here,